What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Bass Thumbs Fishing Podcast, where we are constantly trying to keep our thumbs ripped up. Tonight, we have a really fun episode lined up for tonight. We got Mr. Casey Reed all the way from Virginia coming to join us tonight. We're going to be talking about some offshore techniques. We're going to be talking about where Casey's, how his season's been thus far and what his goals are for the rest of his season. I've been following Casey for quite some time. He is all over social media. He's all over the tournament scene, always in the top 10, always a threat out there across the whole country. And I'm really stoked to kind of dive in and pick his brain a little bit on what he does offshore. Welcome tonight, you guys. I'm already seeing a few people in here tonight. We got Chris Cabral driving to Vegas right now. Chris is a semi-truck driver, good friend of mine. He's out there driving. Be safe, Chris. Keep your eyes on the road. Got my father-in-law, Greg, in here. We got some guys from San Diego. We got Anthony from G Team Outdoors. Some guys from Oregon. What's up, Matt? Monterey, California. We got some Casey Reed fans in the house. Let's see. Kirk Gossett's in here. Well, I appreciate all you guys hopping in here. We got some really we got a really big tournament out here this weekend in SoCal. We got the KBF and the ABA Ironman series and the KBF Trail and Pro series starting out here at Lower Otay this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And there are some freaking West Coast hammers signed up for this event. It's going to be a blast. A bunch of us were already out this past weekend, and on Wednesday, I'm hearing the pre-fishing is pretty decent. The fish are biting. There's a lot of grass. Water temperatures up there, so hopefully there's going to be some good fishing. Maybe offshore, maybe grass lines. Hopefully there's a good frog bite. Last year there was definitely a good frog bite, but I'm really looking forward to it, man. We got guys coming in from NorCal, Utah, Arizona. I think a couple maybe from Nevada and some SoCal anglers, and I'm pumped, man. Huge shout out to my brother-in-law, Greg Ellingson. He is getting married tomorrow night. I'm a part of the wedding, so I'm going to be in a tux Friday night and in my kayak Saturday morning ready to go. So hopefully hopefully the wedding and everything just goes really smooth. Hopefully I don't drink a little bit too much, but no, I'm just kidding. It's going to be a good time. I'm looking forward to it. My brother-in-law is getting married and then get to go out and go fishing the rest of the weekend with some good friends. So looking forward to it. It's going to be a good time. So if you guys are in the tournament at Lower Otay, I wish you guys the best of luck. I hope that you guys all stay safe out there, and I will see you guys out on the water. And just looking forward to it. Otay is always a really good time. Let's see what else we got going on. What else is going on out here on the West Coast side of things? I know that we got some Bass Nation stuff coming up. I know that we got YAK Bass and SoCal kayak anglers, and there's some things going on. I should have wrote those things down, but I didn't, to be honest. But it looks like we got like 21 people in here so far. So again, appreciate you guys. And yes, tonight, again, we are giving away a YAK Attack Black Pack Pro. So huge shout out to YAK Attack for sponsoring the podcast and providing yet another Black Pack Pro. Last week's winner was Michael Craig, and shout out to Michael. He won it. So in order to win the Black Pack, you got to be present in the chat on YouTube or Facebook. And then towards the end of the episode, we will go ahead and do the giveaway. Actually, I'm not going to say when we're going to do it, so that way you guys got to hang out. So we could do it midway. We could do it 3/4. We could do it right now. I don't know. But you guys have to be in the chat in order to win the Black Pack Pro. It's going to be a 13x16. And again, huge shout out to YAK Attack. Really looking forward to seeing who wins that tonight. And also, my new kayak did hit the shop down in OEX San Diego. So Carrie and myself, we're going to be putting our heads together on the SS127. It's not a new kayak, but I'm going to be rigging that for my tournament setup moving forward. I'm going to be hopping out of the P127 and going into the SS127. I got some really cool ideas for it, and it should be a fun time. It's always fun to rig a boat. Carrie and the guys at OEX do a phenomenal job rigging kayaks. It's really cool to see the innovation that Carrie does during the process. He's a perfectionist and he just enjoys what he does, and it's cool to be a part of their shop. And I do their social media and their marketing, And it's just been cool to see all the different types of kayaks that we've sent out throughout this past year, as the market's been booming for the bow mounts and the double graphs now, and the live scopes and the active target, and all these crazy things that we're all putting on our kayaks. And we are definitely going to dive into that tonight, because Casey definitely has a pretty rigged out kayak for sure. So anyways, guys, again, be active in the chat. Casey and I would love to answer your guys' questions. If you guys have any questions, that would be awesome. And let's just go ahead and roll it out. So let's go ahead and bring in Mr. Casey Reed. What's going on, Casey?
Hey Shane, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. Welcome to the Bass Thumbs Fishing Podcast, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. Excited to get into this.
Now, if you guys aren't sure, and this is your first time meeting Casey, Casey is an absolute, I mean, he's a household name in our sport. And Casey I was looking up his Tourney X stats, and I'm gonna go ahead and just throw him up on the screen really quick, because I think it's pretty awesome, man. So let me go ahead and throw these up on the screen just so we can see your history here, because it's a pretty awesome accomplishment. Let me get this going really quick. Share. Let me see. Share screen. Okay. Let's see. Share. Can you guys see that right there? Wait, hold on. Oh, well, Casey, can you still hear me? Are you good?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm not
Okay.
seeing anything different.
Yeah, I'm just gonna read it off because the shared screen's not working right now. But he's been in 186 tournaments. He's caught 819 fish and a total length of 14,116 inches, 35 first place finishes, 96 top 10 finishes. Man, that is an incredible accomplishment, dude. I mean, 14,000 inches on on a measuring board on a kayak. That's pretty incredible. So, Casey, for those of the guys that are watching the show right now and maybe don't really know you, why don't you introduce yourself, man, and maybe talk to us a little bit how you fell in love with the sport and how you fell in love with fishing.
Yeah, so man, I grew up kind of fishing little creeks and ponds and stuff, and then I kind of got out of it for a while. Throughout my high school years, kind of got into some other things that I shouldn't have been into, and just didn't really even think about fishing. And then one day I was at the beach with the family and walked by the pier, and they had a couple rods to rent on the pier. And I went out there, rented the rods, and started catching fish. And like honestly, that's what like got me back into it. I was probably 17 or 18 at the time, and just when I got back home, I just started fishing banks and just going to look ponds and everything. And then finally, I got a little cheap sit-in kayak, and that's what started it all after that. And just been upgrading kayaks ever since, and really just fishing all the time ever since then. So I'm like just really grateful for that day, just walking by that pier and seeing those fishing rods sitting there, because that's what got me back into it.
That's awesome, man. So what was your interest? Did you do any bass boat stuff before you got into the kayak scene, or did you jump right into a kayak and started competing?
So no, not really. I've never owned actual, like a motorboat myself. I did like as I started getting more into kayak fishing. I had some buddies that were fishing out of bass boats, and I started fishing tournaments with them. And then like that, like right in that same time, I found a local trail, kayak fishing trail, and that was fishing out of kayaks. And I'd fish with them, and we had like 7, 8, 9 people, maybe 10 people in an event, but like really got to know those guys pretty well. And that's what kind of started the tournament fishing for me, and it's just again just grown ever since then.
That's awesome, man. So I know that you're a big part of Old Town, the Old Town team, and you run the autopilot, the big autopilot, right? Like the 140 or the 139?
136, yep.
136, my bad. And then why don't you talk to us a
So
little bit talk to us a little bit about your setup, like what you got on there, what kind of graphs you got, how many you got, why you have them.
So, I started in like the Predator PDL from Old Town, and I finally got uh I had a 5-inch Helix on there, and it had side imaging capabilities. And I tried using it, never really figured it out. And then one day I was like, all right, you got to learn this side imaging. And I switched over and just focused on the side imaging. And I finally figured out what I was looking at, with it. And I was like, all right, this screen's way too small. So on my Predator, I upgraded to a 10-inch Helix graph. And then not too long after that, I got into the autopilot, and the autopilot's a huge, a much bigger of a platform. There's so much more you can do with it, and at that time, after using the side imaging to my advantage, the 360 had been out for a couple years already, and I was like, okay, well, let's go ahead and move to the next step and get this 360. So got the 360, and with that, I was like, all right, well, I need two graphs to run this 360 kind of how I want to. With the 360, it takes your side imaging beam away, and the actual 360 transducer is the only way you can get side imaging. And I didn't want to. I knew I wasn't going to have it in the water all the time, so I really wanted to keep that side imaging. And basically, to do that, you had to run two graphs. So you have a transducer for one graph, and then the 360 for the other graph. And yeah, so I got the Helix 9 and the Helix 10, and then the 360, and then kind of moved on from there. I've added the Mega Live. Um, man, I got it completely rigged out with about everything you could imagine. But added two power poles onto the back now. That was a real recent thing, which has been pretty awesome. I haven't got to use it a ton just because I'm kind of fishing out deeper still right now, but definitely when you're in the shallows and maybe bed fishing or whatever, it's definitely going to help kind of keep you locked and keep you in the right direction for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know I've seen the pictures and the videos on your kayak setup, and it's incredible, and it's really something that like a lot of guys look to and they're like, some guys say like, oh, that's overkill or that's too much. Like, why don't you buy a bass boat? Like, we hear all that talk. Like, even when I came out with my kayak and I had double graphs, I got the same like messages, why don't you buy a bass boat? Blah, blah, blah. But when you really start to expand your game, especially when you get offshore and you have these capabilities like the 360 and then the forward facing sonar, and you really start to apply it to your fishing and the way that you're able to see in the water completely different than a lot of anglers that don't. It's definitely an advantage, but it's only an advantage if you put the time and the effort into actually, you know, apply it to your fishing, right? Like just because you have it doesn't mean that it works. It works for the guy that is putting in the time and the effort and researching and adding it as a tool instead of just adding it onto your kayak. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, you definitely, anything you go to use, you got to learn how to use it properly, or else you're not gonna be able to use it to its full advantage. And I mean, it's not for everybody. I mean, there's people that just fish shallow all year long and do real good, and I mean, they don't maybe don't need it. Um, for me, I've just always loved technology, and it's just I've always had computers, messed around with computers, and love that kind of thing. So these graphs are just an extension of that, and like I enjoy using them. I enjoy learning how to use them and tweaking them and getting them to to work best for me and how I want to use them. So
I I feel like one
and
of
like you said,
sorry to cut you off.
sorry, go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off, but one thing with having all this technology and all these screens and motors and stuff, I know that you're a part of the Dakota Lithium team. Why don't you talk about what kind of batteries you're using for this for your kayak. What are you using for your graphs? What are you using for your, you know, your active, your 360 and your Humminbird Live and all that stuff? What kind of battery system are you running?
So I had been running the 100 amp battery for the motor. I've just recently switched to they got a new, it's a 135 amp battery. Um, just started using that, so that's brand new to me. And that really, I'm hoping it's just going to replace. What I was doing is there's a few tournaments where I was maxing out the battery life on the 100 amp, traveling 13, 14 miles in a day. And like
Yeah.
I was killing that 100 amp. So I'd keep a spare, either a spare 100 or a 54 in the kayak as well. And, I wouldn't ever, it was always the end of the day and I just had to get back to the ramp on that spare battery. So I'm really hoping this 135 amp battery is just going to be, no, keep me from needing to have a spare battery for the motor on there. But for the other electronics, I have three 23 amp batteries that are all tied together and they're inside the hull of the kayak, and that's what runs the two graphs, the 360, the live, my navigation lights, and anything else like my GoPro camera. I run off of that as well.
That's awesome. I know. I remember when I first got my XI3 and I had a literal truck, like semi truck lead acid battery. And that's what I started with at
Yeah,
first. And it was like $50 or $65. And I would have to say a prayer at the end of the day to see if it got me back home. But now that I'm running, you know, all the lithiums and Dakota lithiums, I honestly have never had to worry about it, especially in our bodies of water that we have out here. Our runs never really exceed like 4 miles out here, so it 100 amp is plenty for us. I know that when I went to
yeah.
Gunnersville and stuff, though, is a little different story, little bit of a bigger water out there.
Yeah, so I was using a lead acid when I first got the autopilot, and I remember I was fishing a tournament on the Potomac, and I mean it. I don't remember the exact times, but I swear it was like 2 hours into the tournament, and I already feel the. It was a fully charged battery, and it was a size battery that you would use for that motor. But 2 hours into the tournament, I could already feel it getting sluggish, and like by noon I was like not going anywhere. Like, the motor was just barely pushing me along and I was like so frustrated. So yeah, to be able to like have a lithium battery, like it never slows down until it just
Yeah,
dies. But yeah, like you said, the 100 amp battery, there's I've been running it for pretty much 2 years now, I think. Maybe a little bit longer than that. But I can probably count it on one hand the amount of times that I've needed a backup battery. And again, those were for, one was at Kissimmee last year. It was like 7 or 8 mile run to where I was fishing. And, uh, you know, that's a long ways just to go. And then I was fishing around and then had to come back. And that was like the first time I knew I was going to have a need a spare that day. So luckily I had it. But
yeah,
but yeah, having those lithiums, just the power is amazing on them. And like, the 100 amp will do 99% of people right 99% of the time.
yeah, for sure. I know that we do have we're up over 30 people right now. So again, welcome everyone that's watching. Tonight we are giving away a Black Pack Pro. And Casey and I are going to talk about the Black Pack Pro here in just a little bit. The first thing that I kind of wanted to get into was offshore techniques. So we have a couple questions from our viewers already. Again, if you guys have questions, put them in the chat. I'd love to get to them, and Casey'd love to answer them as well. But I got one for you, Casey, right here. What is the simplest advice you could give guys to help understand your graphs more?
Oh, I don't know. Let me think about that. I mean, really just using them, and there's so many videos out there on YouTube, And I get it. There's a lot of them out there that are like that explain maybe too much or not enough. But there's so many videos out there, and that's what I've done to learn myself is just watch those videos, and then take time, and you really gotta focus. I know it's hard when we get out on the water, we just want to fish, but like take a day. I mean, not a whole day, but like take at least a couple hours while you're out on the water, and ideally like some familiar water and stuff where like you kind of know if there's a brush pile there, there's a rock pile there, or even grass beds like underwater, but like somewhere where you're familiar with, and really like just scan back and forth and take a look at that stuff on your graph. And I do that, and I'll really get to, you can adjust your settings and kind of dial it in and get it looking how you want it to look. I know that there's been a lot of people, and I see pictures posted on like the hummingbird like owners groups and stuff, and not everybody wants their graph to look the exact same. Like I want it to look how I want it to look, and somebody else may want it to look different, and it's just how you see it and how you interpret it. But but really just like take time, scan around stuff, make sure you get your settings dialed into to stuff that you know what's down there, and when you go across it with your graph, you can actually see it, and that's what what that looks like. So when you see something else similar to that, you'll be like, okay, well, I know what that is. Um, Really, it's just spending time with it. That's like the easiest way, and
And
really getting to know
I
it.
feel like too with the new technology that's coming out, just from what I've seen, like I've seen a lot of guys jumping in and like going straight to forward facing and just like that's it. And I feel like it's important to have a little bit of history and understand like the 2D, understand the down scan, understand the side scan, understand your like your maps as well, like your contour maps. I just feel like it's all important. It's all like an important package instead of just like getting an active target or a live scope and just like forward facing it and dropping a kitech or whatever right in front of a fish's face. And I just feel like it like you could do that, but like you could learn and understand the forward imaging so much better if you had if you understand the entirety of the whole system, if that makes sense. That's just my my thought.
Yeah, I mean for sure, and I mean I'm by no means an expert with forward facing now. Like I'm still trying to get it dialed in myself and figure it out. But I mean I with the 360, and I mean just side imaging alone, like I I'd be lost without side imaging. Like I still use that so much. Um, and then the 360 just kind of advances that a little bit. But the side imaging, I think everybody needs to learn how to use side imaging, and I feel like it's kind of one of the more harder for a lot of people to understand, just because it's just the way that it's laid out when you're looking at it. I know a lot of people are like, "What is? I don't understand it," and I didn't either at first. It took me quite some time, but after just watching some videos and really kind of understanding the concept of it, like,
Yeah.
and it's helped me, do good in so many tournaments and cash so many checks that like I would never go without side imaging. Like I'd give up forward facing for just side imaging any day of the week.
So that brings up a point really quick, and then we'll get back into some questions because we do have a lot of questions, and I appreciate you guys asking the questions. But you've used 360 more. I feel like just from watching your stuff and hearing you talk about some things, you've used 360 more than your live because you haven't had your live as long as your 360. But
Yep.
understanding, and I use when I am using my forward facing sonar, like pretty much the entire time, I have it on scout mode, which is kind of like a 360 in a way. I just can't see behind me. But talk about how important it is to like literally pinpoint and hit a rock pile or a brush pile. And then obviously you're doing that by using a 360 or scout mode. Can you talk about like the importance of like just seeing structure and almost instead of seeing fish, if that makes sense? Because sometimes you can't really see the
Oh
fish like
yeah.
around the rocks and stuff, but like they're
Mhm.
there. You know what I mean? So talk about like fishing structure compared to fishing like actual isolated fish.
Yeah, and that's what I do mainly. Like with the side imaging and 360, like I'm still not great at picking out fish, and there's different settings that can help you pick out fish better than others. But like I'm more interested in that structure. And if I make a couple casts there and I don't get bit and I'm not seeing anything good around there, I can move on. I'll keep it in my mind. I may come back and hit it, but yeah, seeing that structure to me is everything. I, even if I had live, or and I scan it and don't see anything there, I'm gonna make a cast there regardless. So like say without the live, you just have your side imaging, you see a little boulder pile or something, brush pile. I mean, I'm gonna cast over there regardless of whether I see a fish there or not if it looks good enough. You know what I mean? Because
For
because like
sure.
you said, you're not gonna see that fish 100% of the time, even with a live.
Yeah, and that's been like the most effective part of like just what I've been learning offshore is like using that scout mode to see a brush pile or see the rock pile out in front of me. Cause before you'd have to like run over it with your down scan, turn around, fire back on it, or use some sort of waypoint and try to guess where it's at. But that's what's just been the biggest like turning point for me offshore recently is using that scout mode for literally seeing exactly where the rock pile is and just making cast after cast right there and knowing I'm on the rock pile and not guessing. Like the guessing game has completely gone away. And now I'm just accurately hitting that rock every time and catching fish or not catching fish and moving on. But it's just been so fun, dude. I'm personally pretty addicted right now to offshore rock piles and brush piles. I love it. I
Dude,
feel
it's
I feel so comfortable out
it's
there.
so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I really love it. And like you said, man, being able to keep your lure in that area where that fish is gonna be, whether it's there or not, but like making that cast every time. Like you may know there's a brush pile over there with you went over it with your sonar, but being able to, and you may cast over there and miss it a few times, but being able to see it exactly where it's at, exactly how far away it is from you and in which direction, and be able to cast to it and hit it every single time, your lure's in the right place at the right time more, and you're gonna get bit more. Like it's
Yep.
just simple.
I wanted to ask you this too, and then we'll get to some of these questions because I see some really good questions. Uh, how important is it? Because you have a lot of success, Casey. I mean, you're always a threat in the top 10 or winning the event. Like you're always right there. What would you say? How would you say confidence and being positive out in the water? How would you say that has affected your game overall, or how has that affected your time on the water with your success? Because I'm sure it's something you apply.
Yeah, I mean, so I try to keep it as simple as possible. I mean, I carry a bunch of rods, a bunch of tackle. I throw a shaky head, a drop shot a lot of the times. I mean, and now a chatterbait as well. I've added to my arsenal with it, which is that those are my main three kind of things. And most of the time, you can go places just about anywhere and catch fish on any of those baits. Obviously, they're not going to work the best all the time. There's obviously different things you can throw, but just trying to keep it simple and then keep a level head. Like I used to lose a fish and I'd get angry and I'd be angry for who knows how long, for the next hour. Um, really learning to just let it go and just keep on going. I mean, that was honestly, that was the huge thing for me. Is, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm still upset, but like You just got to drop it from your mind. You can think about it after the tournament or whatever, say, hey, I lost this fish that would have won me money or won me the tournament. But in that moment, you just can't think about it because you're going to dwell on it and it's just going to stay in your head and you're going to make more mistakes. So being able to just kind of clear everything out of your mind and keep it cleared out of your mind, whether you make mistakes or not, is the was a kind of a huge thing for me, and I think that really helped me out so much. I don't know
That's
if that
awesome.
quite answered your question, but I just kind of,
No, it
but
did. I
yeah,
mean,
hopefully that answered
having
it.
confidence in like what you're throwing is like a huge key to success. Like if you have no confidence, then you ain't gonna catch any fish. Like it's pretty much like that black and white. Like you have a lot of confidence, not cockiness, but confidence in what you're throwing and doing. You tend to catch more fish than an angler that is struggling or, always trying to see what other people are fishing and always trying to apply dock talk to their game instead of taking it in and learning on their own or learning from, whether it's Bass University or YouTube or watching professional fishermen on Bassmasters Elites and just like taking everything in and learning as much as you can and applying that and having confidence out on the water is one of the things that I see like time and time again from anglers that I have on the show is just like confidence is almost everything when you're out there. If you don't have it, it's tough to stay positive and catch fish and grind the whole day.
Yeah, and like I mean, Drew Gregory's a great example. Like he fishes the kind of stuff he wants to fish, and that's what I try to do in a totally different manner than he does. But that's what I try to do. Obviously, not as good as he does either. But uh, like he's tries to find a back creek somewhere with probably no water in it, and he goes out there and friggin' wins tournaments doing that. And I do the same kind of thing just in my own way where I try to catch fish that I know how to catch or I want to catch, and with
Yeah.
those techniques that I enjoy fishing and that I'm good at.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
I think a lot of times, again, it doesn't work 100% of the time. It doesn't even work near that. But like, if I can do that, I'd be way happier than trying to go do something I'm not 100% comfortable doing or I don't like doing or just a different technique. We all have those things we like throwing and enjoy throwing. So
Yeah,
if I can do that, that's what I'm gonna do.
100%. Let's get through a couple of these questions because we got quite a few questions coming in here.
Yeah.
The first one that I'll throw up there is from my boy Mike Stames, KBF Fishing Fool. What's your favorite drop shot or shaky head bait?
So for drop shot, it's the Robo Worm. It's a straight tail 7 inch.
Are you
I
sure you're
think
not
it's
from California?
man. I love that Robo Worm. It's been a big hit around here at Smith Mountain Lake, and ever since I got turned on to it, that's what I throw on a drop shot. Like
I know I saw your I saw
90% of
your
the time.
I saw your drop shot video that you did. And if you guys want to go check out Casey on YouTube, I think it's Casey Reed Fishing. He just put up a video on his drop shot setup. And I watched it before the episode today, and it was funny. I was like, man, that 7 inch drop shot robo worm, that's my go-to too, man. I love that. I throw a little bit different color than that red craw, but 7 inch robo's money.
Yeah, I love that bait for sure. Um, it's it, so it's caught my two longest fish, and my one of them was my biggest fish ever, and that was a 12 pounder, 25 inches, and on a drop shot robo worm, and like it was 17 to 20 foot of water, something like that.
Wow.
And that was an unbelievable fish. And then just this year, fishing whatever the Bass Championship, Russell. I caught a 24 and 3/4 on it, and
Dude, when I saw
I
you
had
post
no
that fish,
idea there was fish that big.
when I saw you post that fish, I was just like, "Oh my gosh, Casey's gonna run away with this thing, dude." That was a giant fish. let's talk about that fish really quick. A 24/7 5, if you guys are listening, a 24/7 5 at arguably one of the biggest events in kayak fishing. How did that feel, dude?
I can't even describe it. Like that was just such an off week for me. Like I kind of got sick a little bit pre-fishing, and I just I got on the water for 2 days, I think, or 3 days, whatever we were allowed, and like I wasn't feeling it any of those days. I found one area that had fish, and I think I caught two that day, and they were both, 13 inches or something. And I knew there was fish there though, but I just couldn't fish it. I just wasn't feeling good, and so I didn't really practice it that well. And I hit a few other spots, and then found absolutely nothing. So I was like, well, I guess I'm going. I know there's fish around, at least get a limit of small fish, worst case scenario. And then I went there and just started. I mean, I started catching fish left and right, and and then threw that drop shot out there off this little drop, and yeah, that
There we go. Look at that. I got it
that
on
big
there.
bug eyed right there, freaking slams it, and I'm like fighting it, dude. At that point, I didn't everything I knew about Russell that wasn't really known for largemouth. There wasn't a lot of big largemouth in there, and then to pull that out was like a huge surprise, and like I was so stoked, and luckily there was a Old Town had a camera boat out there, and as soon as I called it, I knew they were close to me. They were heading my way, so I called them. I'm like, I hope you're close, and sure enough, they were just right around the corner, so they were able to get over there and get some pictures and stuff with it,
Wow.
which was freaking awesome. Yeah, I mean
Did you
that was
said
an unbelievable
you
fish, and
caught that on a robo worm?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
So it was funny, Casey, when I was watching your video on your drop shot setup, you were talking about that you use 30-pound braid, and I think you use like 12 to 14-pound fluoro somewhere in there. And it's
Mhm.
kind of interesting to hear a Virginia angler talking about drop shot in that manner, because out here we're throwing 10 to 15-pound braid with 6 to 8-pound fluoro on our drop shots, just because of water clarity and fish pressure and stuff. So it was kind of interesting to see like your setup, with your, for your bodies of water, and then kind of like what we do things out, how we do things out here drop shot wise. Is it was just kind of interesting to compare uh different setups for different bodies of water. But have you ever dropped down to, say, 6-pound test? Have you ever had that? Have you ever had the need to?
So I think I tried it like one of the first times I went up to Erie. I can't remember if it was if it was 6 or 8 or what it was exactly, but it was way smaller than I'm ever comfortable throwing. Um, and yeah, I probably won't do it again. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like you know better than I would. I don't fish a ton of like super clear water like that. I mean, we got some clear water here, but it's not anything like up north or probably what you're used to out there. But
Yeah.
I I think I mean I'm sure they can see it. I'm sure it affects some bites, but until something tells me, hey, you have to go to a smaller pound test, I'm just not going to. Like I just don't feel comfortable downsizing that much.
All right, let's get into a couple more questions. We got some good ones in here. Let's see. We got um let's see, guys. If you guys got some more questions, go ahead and throw them in there, but I'm trying to scroll up to find them. I had them. Let's see. What's the deepest depth that you caught a bass, and on which bait?
Um, I don't know the exact answer to that. I'd probably say probably around 30 foot. Um, and it was probably a blade bait. It
Nice.
the scenario I'm thinking about was on Kentucky Lake, and I was just out. It was like I think it was my first time there, not really knowing what I was doing, and came across a channel and saw some fish out deep, and just started dropping a blade bait down there to them, and caught one during practice. It was about 20 inches, and it had choked that blade bait. Like I saw it. This was back before I had 360 or anything, but it just I saw it drop straight down to it on the sonar, and it just crushed it. And yeah, I think that was probably pretty close to the deepest. I don't think I've fished much deeper than 30 feet for any amount of time.
Someone also asked you in here, it was Chris Cabral. I'm just trying to find the comment, but I know that Old Town runs a 45-pound thrust trolling motor. Would you like to see maybe a 55-pound in the future or a little bit faster of a motor?
Yeah, I mean for sure. Like I'm all about getting more speed. Like the thing that I hesitant about that is battery life. I mean, again, like I just switched hopefully to one battery, not carrying a backup. So I don't know much about any other motors, but yeah, I mean, if we can get a 55 in it and get a little bit more speed out of it and not hurt the battery life too much more, I'm 100% for it. Whatever it is. I mean, I've thought about even like a 48 volt or something, and again, I don't have very much experience with it, but I know the more voltage you run, the less amps you'll use. But obviously, you're carrying two batteries still. But yeah, I'm yeah, more speed.
So it's never a bad thing, I don't think. What's one
Yeah,
piece
no, for
what's
sure.
what's one key piece of advice you'd give to a kayak angler new to the tournament scene?
Um,
They're
Focus
really
on your
throwing them at you
strengths.
tonight, buddy.
Uh,
They're throwing them at you. The questions are
yeah,
coming.
yeah. So I guess it's kind of two part. Like during the tournament, focus on your strengths, but outside of the tournament, learn and try to figure out and get another strength. The more strengths you have, the more places you can go and catch fish, doing different things. So like, if you don't like throwing crankbaits, like, you know, make yourself throw crankbaits, make yourself catch fish on crankbaits. And after you catch a couple fish, that's all it takes. And like you can figure it out, or maybe not completely have it figured out, but get confident in it, after you catch a couple fish with it. So like, yeah, during the tournament, fish your strengths, and outside the tournament, just find something that you want to learn and stick with it for a day, and or a day or two, and really try to figure it out and learn those.
Awesome. So we were kind of getting into your confidence and they talked about shaky head. He meant to say shaky
Oh
head.
yeah.
So let's hear every time that I've seen you or when we've talked at the Bass Nation Championship and even at Gunnersville a couple times, like it's always seems like a shaky head is something that you're throwing that you always have in your hand. So let's hear the Casey Reed juice shaky head setup.
Yeah, so basically it's a 3/16 ounce jig head, and I use tungsten most of the time when I have them. But it's made by a guy called, his name's Bruce West. Company's called Jig Shack, I think. But they make a pretty awesome shaky head, and out of tungsten. They're not cheap, but I love them. But anyways, the 3/16 shaky head and a Zoom shaky head worm, usually green pumpkin most of the time.
Now, what about like rod? What about braid the leader? Like, what about those details too? Can you share with those? Share with us
So
what you got going
yeah,
on?
yeah. So pretty much the exact same thing. Well, closer to the same thing. So 30-pound braid is what I throw on most of my reels. Just I like the bigger braid because when I first started throwing braid, I was getting hung up a lot, and I was like pulling on my line, and that braid would dig in so bad, and it would for my next cast, it would just keep getting hung up inside, on the reel, and I always hated that. And I sized up in braid and never had that happen. I've never had a problem since. So I've pretty much everything is like 30-pound braid unless I'm like flipping something heavy. But 30-pound braid to 12, 14, 16-pound leader when I'm fishing it on a spinning reel. And then sometimes I also have a setup with a little bit heavier weight, maybe like 3/8 ounce, and throw that on a bait casting rod. But and then I'll size up on leader to that sometimes to 16, 18, 20, just to kind of depending on where I'm throwing it.
When we were at Possum Kingdom, we could have thrown a 100-pound braid out there with that water.
Oh man, yeah. Uh, I
That was the
I
dirtiest
mean
water
I
I've
had
ever seen in my life, bro.
yeah, it was pretty chocolate.
It's chocolate.
I had a good tournament there, so I can't complain too much.
Yeah,
But
you
like
did.
I really want to go back to that place when it's got like it's kind of more normal, clearer water in a lot of those areas. I know there was some clear water in some places there, but
Yeah.
I didn't fish in it. But I the area I fished is normally clear water, and I really want to go back to that area when it's clear water. I hope there's another tournament there soon.
Yeah. So now, Casey, let's kind of transition a little bit into your season and then also the goals for your season. And then I see a lot of guys hashtagging back Black Pack Pro. It's funny because they probably hear last episode, so they probably think that's the hashtag for this giveaway, but it's not gonna be the hashtag. So but anyways, we're gonna give away that Black Pack here in the next maybe 5-10 minutes. So just hang tight for a second. But Casey, first thing I want to ask you, how was it walking on the Bassmaster Classic stage when we were there at Possum Kingdom? Just explain that moment as a kayak angler, being able to go up on that stage.
Oh, it was everything I could have asked for. I mean, so when I got off the water that day, I knew I'd done really good. I knew I was like right up there. I just didn't know if I made that 10th spot or not. And yeah, I was sitting there. I think Old Town was there. They did a couple videos with me, and right when we got off the water, and I was like, man, I haven't got a call yet. I haven't got a call yet. Like I bet I didn't make it. I bet I didn't make it. And then like they start to pull out, and then the video guy I think is there with me, and my phone starts ringing, and I look at it, and it's Dwayne. I'm like, oh, I think I made it. So I answered. I'm like,
Yeah.
man, I've been waiting for this call. Tell me something good. And yeah, he said, you're gonna walk across the stage. And at that point, I don't think I knew what place I was in at that point. But yeah, either way, to be able to walk across that stage, I mean, it was awesome. It was a great experience. I mean, the video from that, I'll always look back on that and just be thankful that I was able to be there and do that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was fortunate enough to be there and see all you guys walk across the stage, and I don't think there's ever been more of a fire lit underneath underneath myself than seeing all you guys up there. It's something that I definitely want to try to do again, or try to attempt to do as a kayak angler. I think it's a great opportunity just to walk across there, no matter what the payouts are. Like I said, just the opportunity to walk up there and be on that stage is something really special. It's something we all dreamed of as a kid. To whether it's in a bass boat, a kayak, or whatever, it's something special in the bass fishing world to be a part of. So Casey, I know that you've had a pretty good start this year in the Bass Master series. It seems to be that is like one of the main series that you're focusing on, is at least as far as I can see on Tourney X. I'm sure you're in the KBF stuff as well, but how's your season going so far, and what are some goals that you have set for yourself this year? And I know one goal for sure is to get into that stinking 10 house because my man Casey here has been, I think, the bubble boy twice, right? I don't mean to bring that up, but like I think it's true, right?
It's all right. It's one of those things like I was telling you, when you're on the water, you just gotta knock those things off your shoulder and not think about them. Um, but but yeah, it was actually three times I was 11th place in
Oh
points.
man, three
I made
times?
the
Are
10
you
once,
serious?
and yeah, it was three times. Yeah.
Wow.
Um, this year I actually put my Corey Dreyer, I think, mentioned one time. He was like, he always does hashtag number 11, and I think he said, man, you need to put that on your jersey or something. And
Oh
this year
man.
I actually put it on my jersey, right here, and it's just
Nice.
something to. Every time I think about it, I mean, I could be like, oh man, that sucks. Like I should have been in there, but I wasn't. I obviously I could have done a little bit better and made it in. Somebody else deserved to get in there. Um, but yeah, being able to look back at that, I mean, that's still a huge feat for me. Is obviously it would have been better to get into the 10, but to be that close that many times, like
That's awesome.
it's saying something,
Yeah, for sure.
So being able to see that 11 on my jersey this year kind of really will push me in any time that I need it to try a little bit harder and not give up.
Yeah. How's your season going thus far in KBF?
So it hasn't been bad. I had, let's see, I wrote it down here. I knew you were going to ask. So I think I've got a fifth place finish, a third place finish, and an 11th place finish are my top spots right now.
All right.
Um,
So you're
it's
right
it's
there, bro, because the Trail Series Championship's points and a half. So I feel like those are a good few scores. Maybe inside the top 10 one more time would be pretty nice, but that's you still right there though.
yeah. Um, yeah, it's been so frustrating. Like I haven't, KBF does the two tournaments in a weekend, and like I can never do good on both of them. Like I'll either bomb day one or bomb day two, and I'll do good the other day. And it's like it's so frustrating. I see people going up, putting up like two top five finishes 2 days in a row, and I'm like, why can't I do this? Like it's so frustrating. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean it hasn't been, it hasn't been a great season, I'd say, but it hasn't been bad either. So like I'm pretty content with kind of what I've done. With the bass events, I kind of bowed out of those. I had at Grand Lake, I had I think a 19th place finish. I knew I wasn't really in it. I had missed Lake Fork, the first event, so I didn't
Yeah.
have an event to drop. Um, so I kind of just bowed out of those events, just knowing that I didn't necessarily want to travel to the rest of them, um, and not have a chance at AOI. And the good thing about KBF is you can finish top 10 and still receive something. And Bass right now, it's all or nothing. So like I knew there was no shot of me winning it all in points.
Yeah.
So I just decided to bow out of those this year. But
Were you able to qualify
but
for
already
the
qualified for the championship. Hmm.
Okay. I feel like that's the
Yeah,
big
so
goal.
yeah. I can't remember if I guess I qualified at Harris Chain or something. I think I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, all right. So your goals for this year, as far as KBF goes, is obviously making the 10 and probably win the national championship, right?
yeah, man. I mean, looking forward to it. Looking forward to St. Clair coming up. I'm really excited about that. I think this was the East West tournament. I think so. I think East West is open. They opened up a bunch more water, which includes St. Clair, I think. And so I'm really looking forward to getting up there and checking out St. Clair and fishing that. I feel like that could benefit or play to my strengths, you know.
Yeah.
But we'll see. And yeah, I mean the national championship. Uh, that's always a goal. I've been up there, but never could put all the days together. So like, I've only cashed one check at a national championship before, and I've been in highest. I was in third place after day one of like a few years ago at the national championship, and then friggin' just bombed out. Like
Yeah.
being that close and then being it dropping that far, like it was such a heartbreaking experience. But that's how it goes.
I guess that's what's keeps us coming back, right?
Yeah, I
The
mean, yeah. Once you feel yourself getting that close and that excitement, like obviously it kind of fell off, but I mean, I couldn't imagine winning that event and walking across the stage as the winner of that event. It, it's got to be. I mean, any event, honestly, but an event that big is just the feelings just got to be amazing, and yeah, to get that close to it and have those feelings and just to know what it would really be like if you won it. So
yeah. Someone asked, is tournament fishing your full-time job?
it is not my full-time job. No, I have basically a 9 to 5 that I work. I work at actually it's a place called Liberty Mountain Snowflex Center, and it's all year round ski and snowboard facility, and we don't have any snow. It's all like a synthetic carpet type material. It's only one in the United States.
Wow. That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So yeah, before I started fishing a whole lot, I snowboarded a whole lot, and that's kind of
Nice.
why I got the job there, and still have been there
Awesome, man.
since.
Well, I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up and do the giveaway here pretty soon. But before we do the giveaway, Casey, anyone that you want to give a shout out to as we kind of wrap things up here, and I want you to stick around for the giveaway. We'll give it away together because I know you run the Yak Attack Black Pack Pro. So, anyone you want to thank before we kind of wrap things up?
Oh yeah, man, the Yak Attack's freaking awesome. Like I got two of the 16x16s in the back of the autopilot right now, and so much storage in there. So I'm not sure which one you're giving away right now, but like whoever's gonna win that is gonna be so stoked to get one of those. But yeah, I mean, first and foremost, Old Town. They've my longest sponsor. They've helped me for years. Um, they're I think they're the best company in kayak fishing right now. Not necessarily the best kayak, but the best company. They're supporting their anglers, and it's just awesome to be a part of, and awesome to see somebody a company that gives that kind of support to us. Because we need it, and I think we deserve it as well. Um, Fish USA, Cash and Rods, Dakota Lithium. Like I couldn't do it without all these companies, and I just picked up a couple more sponsors this year. Uh, Loophole, they make all sorts of stuff for firearms. I'm sure if any of you guys hunt, you've heard of them. But I'm wearing their sunglasses now. They've really been trying to kind of break into the fishing market with their sunglasses, and they make a great pair of sunglasses. So just thanks to them, and thanks to AFCO for sponsoring me this year as well. And Catch, Duke at Catch, just the boards are freaking awesome. Everybody knows what Catch is though. But yeah, just the support of all my sponsors is great, and I couldn't ask for any more.
That's awesome, man. It's been cool to see not only you progress, you know, in like winning and everything, but also progress in your sponsorships. It's good to see anglers picking up big sponsors because it shows that the community as a whole is reaching these bigger companies and they're starting to invest in more of our anglers. So it's been really cool to see guys like yourself and other anglers start to get on these, bigger more well-known brands within the fishing community. It's pretty cool, man. So congratulations on all your success, dude, and thanks for coming on tonight and dropping some offshore knowledge on us. But Casey, what do you think? You ready? Let's give away a black pack.
Yeah, let's give it away.
Let's give it away. So I'm going to we're gonna do hashtag bass thumbs tonight with an S, hashtag bass thumbs, and I will let that sit for a little bit. I know there's a little bit of a delay. So hashtag bass thumbs with an S for your chance to win a YAK Attack Black Pack Pro 13 by 16. Hashtag bass thumbs. So I'm gonna let that sit for a little bit. You know, you can only do one hashtag. Even if you do more, it'll only take one. So for Dominic and these guys that throw up like 400 hashtags, it's only going to allow you to have one. Hashtag
They
bass
really,
thumbs.
really want that.
I'm going to go ahead and share the screen. Bear with me. This is my second time doing this shared screen thing. Let's go to Chrome tab, giveaway. Boom. Can you see that? Okay, we can see it.
Yeah, there it goes.
Okay, I'm going to say start collecting. Okay, perfect. Look at that. So we got 36 so far, which is about how many people we have in the stream. So that's perfect. Hashtag bass thumbs for your chance to win a 13 by 16 YAK Attack Black Pack Pro. Huge shout out to John Hipsher and all the people at YAK Attack. Really appreciate you guys. You guys are so incredible for sponsoring the podcast. You guys made a phenomenal product. And Casey, when you're using the Black Pack Pro, is it solely for tackle, or do you have your batteries in it, or how do you use two Black Pack Pros?
So I got a little more storage now than I had before with my old crates, but so I'm still trying to figure it out exactly. But what I'm thinking is I have tackle boxes in one of them, and then plastics in another, and kind of separate them that way. That's kind of how I did it with my other crates, which were a little bit smaller than the two 16 by 16s I'm running now. But now I'll be able to have way more tackle than I need.
Yeah, for
but
sure. How many rod
but
tubes do you have on yours right now? How many rod tubes you got?
I think it's 10 that I got fit on there, and how I like it now.
Nice.
I think it's three on each side of one of them, and then two on each side of the other one.
All right, Casey. Here we go. Let's go ahead and
All right.
press the draw button. I think we're good. We got 39 entries.
Yeah,
Let's
that's pretty
let's
good.
do it. Let's do it. Ready? Here we go. Who is gonna win the Black Pack Pro? Kirk Gossett. Let's go. Kirk Gossett. Okay, interesting story about Kirk Gossett, okay? He's an angler down here in SoCal. We had a drawing for a bona fide SS 127 at an event that we held for one of my buddies. And it was a raffle drawing. And Kirk Gossett won the raffle for the bona fide kayak. This guy wins things like crazy. So congratulations,
Dude.
Kirk Gossett.
Yeah, some people
Man,
have all the luck, man. You can't beat that, man. I'd rather be lucky than good any day of the week.
seriously, man. And then also another interesting thing, prior to winning the kayak that we gave away at that event, he did I think another big raffle like across the country, and he won another SS 127 in a raffle drawing. I'm pretty sure that's accurate. Kirk, if it's not accurate, put in the chat. But he's won two kayaks, and now he just won a Black Pack Pro, and that is that's awesome. He needs to buy some lottery
That's
tickets.
awesome. Uh, Kurt, do you have a black pack already? The pro black pack? I don't know.
I don't.
I can't
I
see comments, but I guess you can.
You can see comments on the right. If you go up to the right corner, you can click comments. I think you can. So, um, But anyways, congratulations, Kirk. Next week, we are going to. I I got a busy weekend this weekend with OTI and stuff, so I'll go ahead and announce what we got going on next week. Make sure you guys follow myself on Instagram at Bass Thumbs Fishing. On Instagram, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, and looking forward to seeing all you guys next week. Wednesday night is the night we're going to shoot for 6 p.m. Again, I'll let you know who's coming on the show. Casey, thank you for coming on the show. And where can people follow you at as well on Instagram? Casey Reed, right?
Yeah, Casey Reed Fishing on all the socials. So on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Trying to grow my YouTube right now. I've been saying that for 2 or 3 years, but I'm starting to actually do it now. So I'd love for you guys to go subscribe to me on YouTube. Again, Casey Reed Fishing, and hopefully I will continue to put out some good content for you guys. So yeah, I'd
Awesome, man.
appreciate that.
Well, hey,
Yeah. And yeah,
best of luck
thanks
the
for
rest of the
having me
season, man.
on. I appreciate it. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
no,
you.
no
Yeah, thanks
problem.
for having me on, and yeah, just let me know, and I'm always here. So
I'm hoping to see you at Kentucky Lake, buddy. We're gonna try to make the trek out
yeah,
there. West
man,
West, West Coast is coming in hot, dude.
cool. Heck yeah. Yeah,
All right.
we'll be happy to see you guys out there.
All right. Have a good night, buddy.
You too. Take care.
Bye.